Gold is better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is better than gold. Stocks are better than anything. Real estate is the only asset class. You've heard all the lines, but I want to talk to you today about each asset class and what they have to offer. New things that have come up ever since, like cryptocurrencies, didn't exist in the previous cycle, and now here they are now over $1 trillion, going higher every day. This is a new thing. But if you look at the benefits, if you look at the negatives, you can decide where to put your money. Today, we're going to talk about gold and Bitcoin. We're going to look at this right here, the original Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. And I've got a bunch of notes written down of the asset classes that we'll look at today. We're going to talk about precious metals, gold more specifically. We're going to look at stocks. We're going to look at the Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, and I want to touch on as many different points as I possibly can, looking at the benefits of stocks, looking at the benefits of real estate, and so on, so that you can decide where to deploy your capital, where you think it's best. Understand, before I get into this, that there are benefits in each and every one. So take that how you want it, but understand that there's going to be so many little nuances, and I'm not going to be able to cover it all, but let's cover the basics. First of all, Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? If you haven't read the original Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, please do. It has nothing to do with your interest in Bitcoin, whether you are invested or not. You should understand this paper. It's very simple. It's a short read, and you could just go on to a search engine and type in Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, and it'll be the first link. And I want to tell you what it says right here. Essentially, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Very simple. And the most important point that he gets into in the first line of that paragraph, it says, without a financial institution. And instantly, we should be interested. Doesn't mean that the delivery and how they use the system today and what have you should be a factor. Know that right there, not having these corrupt financial institutions involved, is automatically giving it some level of interest. So I think that's so important. Now, what are the benefits of Bitcoin? The price, not a factor. In all of these, I'm not going to talk about the price. That is not important to me as an investor. Okay? And most people would think, that's crazy. Why wouldn't the price be a factor? Well, of course, there's so much more to an asset than its price. Its price today is not going to be its price tomorrow. It's not going to be its price in 10 years. We need to look at the fundamental reasons why each asset class is viable, right? Now, Bitcoin, it's divisible in unlimited quantities. You can take a piece of land and they might allow you to split it in half. They might allow you to basically, divide it in some ways, but you can't divide it in unlimited amounts. Okay, it's just not realistic. Now, you can absolutely do that, but it's not unlimited. So with Bitcoin and all cryptos, you can divide that. And that's important, especially as the value continues to rise. You always have that ability to do so, and making, using it for that peer-to-peer cash, making it like that is obviously beneficial. In the current system we use, you can go to the penny. Okay, we can get down to the penny. What if, that penny was worth a lot more than, obviously it's worthless today, but if it was worth a lot more, it would be nice to be able to divide that even further. But of course, they devalue that currency, so we no longer need the penny. And of course, as I put here, you could send it anywhere in the world. So there's no restrictions on where you can send your Bitcoin. I mean, that's an advantage right there. I could send it to Australia, I could send it to China, I could send it all over the world. As long as there's internet, as long as there's power functioning, I'm going to be able to do that, and it's going to be there relatively instantaneously. These are the benefits. Now, there's cons, absolutely. But let me go on with this here. Gold. Gold has been used as money For thousands of years, literally thousands of years, it's been trusted because of its limited quantities, and of course, because it's always had some sort of history. But at the same time, even central banks, the groups that have the printing press, are the ones that collect gold in major quantities. Now, think about how wild that is. Now, they've been printing like crazy, and yet they're buying gold. They're still buying gold, in general. That to me is a telltale sign that at least they think something is right about this. Now, you can see that historically it's a hedge against inflation. There's no doubt about that. But I want to make one important point about gold more so than silver, but of course it applies. When all else fails, gold. That's how I look at it. Gold is not interesting when there's a bull market in stocks. It's not interesting when real estate is going up 30% year over year. Nobody wants it because you're, of course, not going to get that appreciation during these periods. But look at what happens to it when all else fails. When nobody has anywhere else to turn, suddenly gold begins to skyrocket. And that's something that people just don't want to wait around for. I'm not going to hold this metal and wait for 10 years. That's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to maintain that gold and hopefully pass it on generation to generation. That's its benefit. Not to sell it, but to maintain wealth and continue that trend thousands of years. And you keep money, as I've talked about this before, and actually on Clubhouse, we were talking about this. I think it was this week, actually, last week. We were talking about how, those that cultures in the East, they're able to preserve wealth, keep it within the family simply by buying that gold, and then at the different celebrations, they're able to give these coins to each other, maybe high carat jewelry and so on, and they're able to benefit from that, all right? And then stocks. Now, stocks right here, they're easy to buy, sell, and manage. You can get a Robinhood app or some convenient app on your phone, a couple clicks, and you've got stocks right there, very easily in your hand. Okay, you've got, as it says right here, allows you to be an investor in many sectors in different countries. So you couldn't necessarily be a private investor in an oil rig if you've only got $20 to your name, but you can do that indirectly by buying a particular stock. You can have something completely outside of your country, and it could be done relatively simply. And that, again, allows you to do this on a very small scale. So that's an advantage. Of course, if you see the benefit in something happening in, let's say, China, and that's, dealing with agriculture. Well, it would be difficult to buy a farm in China or something. So what do? You can invest in something like a commodity that would happen to benefit that, and you could sort of make that your play if you saw that trend, if you had that foresight. So hopefully that makes some sense. And then you look at this here. Trillions of dollars are moving around on a daily basis, which gives it liquidity. And obviously when you have liquid assets, that's beneficial for when you need to sell, and it also shrinks the bid and the ask. So that's going to be helpful to you, of course, if you need to move money in or out. So these are some advantages of the stock market in general. And then we have real estate. Real estate is the number one asset for multi-generational wealth. If you look at the very wealthy people, these people have real estate. They have lots of it. And you just see that. And generation to generation, they're able to keep it, hopefully. And this is how they're able to maintain it. I think that's the big difference, because you could see some people that got rich off of, one thing that happened to them, but a generation or two later, they lose their wealth. Those who have real estate tend to keep it. Why? Because as long as that city is good and where the locations are good, that asset can continue to provide income. But one other thing that I mentioned here was that you have an asset that is able to pay you 4 different ways. four different ways. Okay, you've got appreciation, you've got depreciation, you've got the amortization, and of course you've got the tax write-offs. All of these four different things are so beneficial, and unlike something with stocks, you're not going to be able to write off depreciation in stocks, I'll tell you that. It has the most tax advantages of any asset class. There's nothing even coming close. You can do a cash out refinance on a property that you've had for, let's say, 10 years. Take out all the money that's been put in, take this out cash, and have that cash in hand and do it tax free. People are making literally millions of dollars tax free, especially those that are doing this in the multifamily, real estate property markets. And this is unbelievable and making a lot of money as a result of it. So this is right now I would say the best benefits of real estate. Are there disadvantages? Of course, every asset class has its own disadvantages. There's no doubt about it. Some are very expensive, some are overinflated, some have too many regulations, some of them are, problematic. They can encounter so many different issues, and we see that over time. Those who have a diversified selection of assets generally do better in the bad times. Okay, you might do the amazing if you held stocks you bought in the bottom of 2009, March 2009, you put everything you had into it up until today, you've done very well. But there are times in which people buy and lose a lot of money. The same with real estate. If people were going crazy back in 2006, 2007, they might have been hurt, and some of them completely put out of business afterwards. So each and every asset class has their advantages and disadvantages. But you as an investor need to look at where there is, of course, depending on your situation, how much money do you currently have? What are your interests right now? What do you want to begin with? What's good in your area? Maybe you're looking at real estate, but the real estate is simply too expensive. Maybe that kind of puts you out of the game for now, but there will be a time in which there might be a more appropriate time to purchase. And so we only know that when the time comes. So these are the things that I wanted to discuss today. I'm trying to give more practical advice for people. I'm trying to look at different assets. I'm trying to look at investor psychology. Even though these videos generally perform extremely poorly, you're going to see on the Sunday and the Monday, generally these posts will come out. And it's going to be one of these type of videos where we're just casually speaking. We're going to look at, what I did in the previous video just before this, which is essentially a different topic every week, but how the investor should be looking at the markets, not necessarily talking about PE ratios and market caps, but sort of that psychology behind it. I also talked about inflation and how you can protect yourself and all of that. So let's get real with this. Let's get smart. Always remember to be diversified. I'm not talking about owning Amazon and owning General Electric. That's not diversification. There are many different asset classes, and people need to be understanding when the right time is to get into the one that you have interest in and start to look at the others and start to, dip your toe in. Just dip your toe in and see what you can get right now at this time and understand the benefits of that. And in time, you're going to realize that having many different things is a great idea. Okay, this is very important, even if you're starting small. Always remember that each of them have benefits and they have negatives, and we need to take what we can and learn from our mistakes. So that's all for this video. If you found it informative, hit that thumbs up button. If you have any suggestions, if you have any comments, of course, please put them in the comment section below, along with all the spam messages and the spam impersonators. I love those. It's getting so out of control. I can't even keep up anymore. But I want to thank each and every one of you for your support on this channel. All those who join me on Clubhouse almost every day of the week. If you want to get on there, there's a lineup for people that I am I'm basically, giving all my invites away. So if you message me on Instagram, I can give you an invite, but there's about 15 people waiting right now. But every single time I get them, I give them to the next person in line. So if you definitely want to get in with that, send me a message. Anyway, that's all for this video. Take care.